October 12th, 2028, 19:47. I was in a lecture hall at Cresthaven University, halfway through a seminar on 19th century American literature, when my phone buzzed. It was my son, Ethan, calling from his apartment across town. I silenced it, figuring I'd call him back after class. He was 24, a junior researcher at the Cresthaven Historical Society, always excited about some obscure document he'd uncovered. The second buzz came 10 minutes later. I ignored it again, scribbling notes about Hawthorne's symbolism. By the time the third call came, I was packing up, but I let it go to voicemail. I'd call him on my way home. When I stepped into the cool Oregon night, I checked my phone. 3 voicemails. The first was Ethan, his voice light, asking if I wanted to meet for pizza at Gino's and maybe catch a game at the bar. "Dad, you've been working too hard. Let's hang out." I smiled, making a mental note to call him. The second voicemail was different. His voice trembled. "Dad, I found something at work. Something big. It's in the archives restricted section. I need to talk to you. Please pick up." My stomach tightened. The third was just breathing, ragged, desperate, for 29 seconds. Then a crash, like glass shattering, and the line went dead. I called back immediately. No answer. October 12th, 2028, 20:15. I drove to Ethan's apartment, a small place near the Historical Society in downtown Cresthaven. The door was unlocked, his keys still on the counter, but he wasn't there. His laptop was open, showing a scanned image of an old map, covered in strange symbols. I called the police, who told me to wait for a missing persons report. By midnight, they called me back. Ethan's car had been found on Route 17, smashed into a pine tree. No skid marks. No witnesses. Just my son, dead at the scene, his body bruised but otherwise intact. The coroner said it was an accident. High speed, loss of control. But Ethan was cautious, a stickler for rules. He didn't speed. He didn't crash. Chapter 2. The Archive, October 14, 2028, 09:22. The funeral was quiet. Cresthaven isn't a big city, and Ethan kept to himself. A few colleagues from the Historical Society attended, along with his old high school friend, Mia. Reverend Thompson, a wiry man with kind eyes, spoke about Ethan's passion for history. After the service, he pulled me aside. "Ethan was working on something sensitive at the archive," he said. "Something in the lower vaults. He mentioned you might understand." I pressed him for details. He hesitated, then said Ethan had been cataloging documents from the 1840s, maps and journals tied to Oregon's pioneer days. He found something that unsettled him. He wouldn't say what. That night, I couldn't sleep. Ethan's voicemails played on a loop in my head. I drove to the Historical Society, a brick building on the edge of Cresthaven's historic district. I'd consulted there before, analyzing pioneer diaries for exhibitions. My old ID still worked, and the night guard, a bored college kid, let me in without questions. October 14th, 2028, 23:10. The lower vaults were cold, the air heavy with the smell of damp paper and mildew. Ethan's desk was tucked in a corner, cluttered with folders and a coffee mug he'd used since college. A stack of photocopied maps sat under a paperweight shaped like an Oregon Trail wagon. I opened the top folder. The maps weren't standard, nothing about trade routes or settlements. They were hand-drawn, dated around 1845, depicting a place called the Hollow. Not a town or a valley, but something else. Diagrams of caverns, tunnels, and chambers, labeled in a mix of English and symbols I couldn't read. One map had a note in Ethan's handwriting. "The Hollow is real. Coordinates match Cresthaven." Chapter 3. The map, October 15, 2028, 02:34. I spent hours in the vault, reading Ethan's notes. He'd been meticulous, cross-referencing the maps with pioneer journals and geological surveys. The symbols, he wrote, came from a lost dialect used by a secretive settler group, the Order of the Hollow. They believed Cresthaven sat above a thin place, where the physical world touched something else, a realm they called the Hollow. One map, drawn on brittle vellum, was labeled "The True Path Below." It showed a network of tunnels beneath Cresthaven, with 7 entry points. 6 were marked sealed. The 7th, labeled "Open Gate," pointed to a location I recognized, the basement of St. Luke's Church, a block from the Historical Society. Ethan's final note was scrawled in red ink. "They know I found it. I'm being watched." I photographed everything, my hands shaking. Ethan had stumbled onto something dangerous, something that got him killed. October 15th, 2028, 04:12. I walked to St. Luke's in the pre-dawn fog. The church was old, built in 1850, its wooden steeple weathered by Oregon rains. The front door was locked, but a side entrance for maintenance was open. Inside, the air smelled of wax and dust. I found the basement door behind a pew, marked storage. The lock was simple, and I'd learned to pick locks during my grad school days for late-night library access. The basement was a maze of crates and old hymnals, but in the far corner, I found it, a trapdoor, its edges carved with the same symbols from Ethan's map. Chapter 4. The Descent, October 15, 2028, 05:03. The trapdoor led to a stone staircase, spiraling down into darkness. My phone's flashlight barely cut through the gloom. The air grew colder with each step, smelling of wet stone and something metallic, like rust. I counted 200 steps before the staircase ended at a stone platform. The chamber was vast, my light unable to reach the walls. Ethan's map showed this as the threshold, the edge of the hollow. 7 tunnels branched off, each marked with symbols. One was labeled the Path of Sorrow. Ethan's notes suggested it was the safest route, leading to a place where lost souls lingered. That I checked my backpack. Water, flashlight, rope, a knife. Ethan's map was folded in my pocket, along with a small brass compass he'd given me years ago. It was a family heirloom, supposedly blessed by a pioneer preacher. I chose the Path of Sorrow and started walking. October 15th, 2028, 06:28. The tunnel was narrow, the walls slick with condensation. My boots echoed in the silence. After an hour, the path opened into a chamber lit by a faint blue glow, like bioluminescent algae. 3 figures stood in the center, their outlines human but wrong. Too thin, their skin pale as bone. They turned, their eyes empty sockets. A living man, one whispered, her voice like wind over glass. She said her name was Clara, a settler who died in 1847. The others were Amos, a Civil War deserter, and Lila, a 1920s nurse. They'd been trapped here, arguing over lost dreams for decades. "Have you seen my son, Ethan?" I asked. Clara nodded. "He passed through 3 months ago, heading deeper, toward the Well of Sorrow." Chapter 5. The Well of Sorrow, October 15, 2028, 08:15. The tunnel to the Well of Sorrow was warmer, the air thick with a sweet, rotting smell. The walls were carved with images of weeping figures, their hands reaching for something lost. I walked for hours, guided by Ethan's map and the compass, which spun wildly but always settled toward the surface. The tunnel ended at a vast pit, its edges lined with jagged stones. A rope ladder, modern and out of place, hung over the edge. Ethan's work that I climbed down, my headlamp revealing a cavern floor covered in shallow, black water. In the center stood a well, its mouth wide and pulsing with a faint hum. A laptop sat on a folding table nearby, its screen showing Ethan's face as the screensaver. My heart stopped. I tried his password, his childhood dog's name, and his birth year. It worked. October 15th, 2028, 09:40. Ethan's files detailed his plan, a descent into the hollow to find someone. Not just exploration, but a rescue. He'd found journals describing the Well of Sorrow as a prison for souls who died in grief. His notes mentioned a woman, Sarah, a colleague who'd vanished a year earlier after studying the same maps. Ethan believed she was trapped here. His final file was a voice memo, recorded the night he died. "Dad, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. The hollow is real. I confirmed the coordinates. Sarah's down here, and I'm going to find her. But someone from the Historical Society knows. They're following me. If I don't make it, finish this. The supplies are in Storage Unit 12 at Cresthaven Self-Storage. The key's under my desk." Chapter Rosary, October 16, 2028, 03:22. I drove to the storage unit at dawn. Unit 12 held Ethan's supplies, camping gear, ropes, a Geiger counter, even a first aid kit. He'd been thorough, planning a journey into the hollow. I loaded everything into my truck and returned to St. Luke's. The church was empty, the town asleep. I carried the gear to the basement and prepared to descend again. The Well of Sorrow was unchanged, the black water reflecting my headlamp like a mirror. I set up a climbing rig, using Ethan's ropes and anchors. The well steps were slick, carved with symbols that stung my eyes. I descended 400 meters, the air growing heavy, like breathing through cloth. At the bottom, I found a city, not of stone, but of twisted, organic shapes, like petrified vines. The air hummed with voices, whispers of despair. October 16th, 2028, 05:55. The city was alive with shadows, souls, not demons, according to Ethan's notes. They moved slowly, their faces etched with grief. I called out for Ethan or Sarah. A figure approached, her form flickering like a bad signal. "Sarah?" I asked. She nodded, her eyes hollow but human. "Ethan came for me," she said. "But the Keeper of Sorrow took him. He's in the spire." Chapter 6. The Spire, October 16, 2028, 07:13. The spire loomed over the city, a tower of bone-like material, pulsing with faint light. Ethan's notes described it as the heart of the well of sorrow, where the Keeper held souls bound by their regrets. The streets were a maze of wailing figures, their hands brushing my arms, cold as frost. I reached the spire's entrance, guarded by two humanoid shapes, their bodies woven from roots and shadow. "Living man," one hissed. "You seek the lost." "My son Ethan." "And Sarah." They laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "The Keeper claims them. Offer something or join them." I remembered Ethan's notes about bargains. 3 years of my life," I said. 5, the other countered. 4. They stepped aside. Inside, the spire was a spiral of hollowed chambers, each holding a soul trapped in their own misery. I climbed, my legs burning, until I reached a cell where Ethan sat, his eyes half black, like ink spreading in water. Chapter 7. The Keeper, October 16, 2028, 09:02. Ethan looked up, his voice a growl. "Dad? Why are you here?" "To get you out." He shook his head. "I killed someone. Dr. Hargrove, my supervisor. He tried to stop me. I hit him with a wrench. The Keeper says I belong here." I pieced it together. Ethan's paranoia, his crash, it wasn't an accident. He'd been driven to violence by the Hollow's influence, then compelled to die. I climbed to the spire's peak, where the Keeper waited, a towering figure of thorns and ash, its eyes like dying coals. "You come for your son," it said, its voice a grinding whisper. "He killed to protect the Hollow's secret. He's mine. Let him go." He acted to save Sarah. The Keeper held a key of twisted root. "Fight me. Win, and they're free. Lose, and you stay." It handed me a blade of blackened wood. I gripped it, my academic training useless against this primal thing. It swung a staff of thorns, and I dodged, my heart pounding with rage for Ethan, for Sarah, for the life stolen from us. Chapter 8. The Fight, October 16, 2028, 09:45. The Keeper was fast, its staff slicing the air. I parried, the wooden blade lighter than it looked. I'd studied fencing for a book on Civil War duels, but this was no duel. The Keeper fought with centuries of malice. Its strikes drew blood, shallow cuts that burned like acid. "You're weak," it said. "Your anger is nothing." I thought of Ethan's voicemails, his fear, his sacrifice. I wasn't fighting for anger. I was fighting for him. I lunged, slashing the Keeper's arm. Sap-like blood oozed, and it roared. I ducked another swing, driving my blade into its chest. It staggered, dropping the key. I grabbed it and ran to Ethan's cell. The lock clicked open. Ethan stumbled out, his eyes clearing, the black receding. Sarah was in the next cell, weaker but alive. We climbed down, the spire's wails echoing. The guardians at the entrance were gone, fighting each other in the streets. Chapter 9. The Return, October 16, 2028, 11:20. We reached the threshold, the three souls, Clara, Amos, Lila, waiting. "You brought them back," Clara said, her voice soft. "Tell the world we're still here." The ascent was grueling, my body heavy with the Keeper's bargain. 4 years of my life, draining me with every step. Ethan and Sarah supported me, their warmth returning. We emerged in St. Luke's basement as dawn broke over Cresthaven. Ethan was himself again, but haunted. "I killed Hargrove, Dad. I didn't mean to. It wasn't you. The Hollow used you." Back home, I aged overnight, gray streaks in my hair, lines carving my face. Sarah recovered faster, her memory of the hollow fading. Ethan stayed quiet, wrestling with guilt. October 17th, 2028, 14:30. A woman visited us, introducing herself as Dr. Elaine Carter, Cresthaven Historical Society's director. She carried a briefcase filled with photos of the trapdoor, the threshold, even the well of sorrow. "We've been monitoring the hollow," she said. "Ethan's research exposed it. Hargrove was sent to stop him." "You let him die," I said. "We needed to know if the hollow could be navigated. You proved it could." She offered us a job: retrieve others trapped in the hollow. The knowledge was spreading, weakening the barriers. We agreed, trained for months, and began missions, rescuing lost hikers, occult researchers, even a priest. Some we saved. Others were too far gone. Chapter 10. The Seal, April 3, 2029, 08:10. After a year, we learned the hollow was growing unstable. Each descent widened the cracks between worlds. Dr. Carter showed us a 19th century plan, the Eternal Lock, to seal the 7 entrances forever. It required artifacts, pioneer relics, and permanent guardians at each site. Ethan and I volunteered for Cresthaven's entrance. On a rainy April morning, we stood by the trapdoor, holding relics that hummed with power. We spoke words from an old settler's journal, and the trapdoor's darkness hardened, sealing the hollow that we live in St. Luke's basement now, with books, Wi-Fi, and a coffee maker. We check the seal daily, report to Carter, and sleep in shifts. I think of Clara, Amos, and Lila, trapped forever. But Cresthaven is safe. The world is safe. Ethan says it's enough. I nod, watching him read, knowing every sacrifice was worth it. April 4th, 2029, 06:15. The basement of St. Luke's Church smells of coffee and old stone, a combination that's become as familiar as my own heartbeat. Ethan is asleep on the cot in the corner, his chest rising and falling under a worn quilt. The seal over the trapdoor hums faintly, a low vibration I feel in my bones more than hear. It's been 6 months since we activated the Eternal Lock, 6 months since we chose to become permanent guardians of Cresthaven's entrance to the hollow. The world above continues. Tourists wander the historic district, students crowd the university, and the Oregon rain falls in steady sheets. But down here, time feels different, like it's pooling in the cracks of the stone walls that I sit at the desk we've set up, a metal folding table cluttered with books, laptops, and a chessboard where Ethan and I play endless games to pass the time. My reflection in the laptop screen shows a man who looks closer to 70 than 50. The 4 years I gave to the Keeper of Sorrow, plus the 10 I paid for Ethan's return, have carved lines into my face, turned my hair silver, and left my joints aching with every movement. Ethan says the aging has stabilized, that I'll live out my remaining years, maybe 20, maybe less, at a normal pace. But normal feels like a foreign word now. The seal holds. Every morning, I check it with the relic, a brass compass rose that pulses with warmth when I speak the settler's incantation. The darkness in the trapdoor is solid, impenetrable, like obsidian poured into the earth. Ethan checks it at night, his hands steady as he recites the same words. We've settled into a rhythm, a strange domesticity in this underground bunker. The Vatican, the Historical Society, though I suspect they're more connected than Dr. Carter admits, supplied us with everything we need: electricity, internet, a small kitchen. We're not prisoners, not exactly. We're sentinels, bound by choice and necessity to keep the hollow contained. April 4th, 2029, 08:30. DR. Elaine Carter visits today, her leather briefcase as pristine as ever. She's in her late 50s, sharp-eyed and composed, but there's a weariness in her posture that wasn't there a year ago. She sits across from me, sipping coffee Ethan brewed, and spreads a folder of reports on the table. The other entrances are stable, she says. All 7 teams report no breaches. The Eternal Lock is holding. I nod, but my mind drifts to the other guardians. We've never met them, but Carter's reports mention their names: Dr. Maria Alvarez in Boston, Father Daniel Kim in New Orleans, a pair of siblings in Chicago. Each guards a different entrance, their lives as tethered to the hollow as ours. I wonder if they feel the same weight, the same quiet dread that creeps in during the long nights. Have there been attempts? Ethan asks, joining us. His voice is steady, but I see the tension in his jaw. He's changed since we brought him back. The guilt over Dr. Hargrove's death lingers, though he doesn't talk about it. Carter hesitates. A few, mostly curious amateurs, occultists, urban explorers. We've intercepted them before they got too close. But the knowledge is spreading faster than we anticipated. Blogs, forums, even academic papers. The Hollow calls to people. I think of Ethan's notes, the way the maps seem to pull him in, to amplify his curiosity into obsession. And if the knowledge keeps spreading? I ask that Carter's eyes meet mine. We monitor it, contain it where we can. But sealing the entrances was only half the solution. The other half is vigilance. April 4th, 2029, 10:45. After Carter leaves, Ethan and I play chess. He's better than me now, his moves calculated and ruthless. I sacrifice a knight to bait his queen, but he sees through it, checkmating me in 3 moves. You're getting soft, Dad, he says, a rare smile breaking through. For a moment, he's the boy who used to beg for extra innings at Little League, not the man who killed his supervisor under the Hollow's influence. That I lean back, watching him reset the board. Do you ever think about them? I ask. Clara, Amos, Lila? His hands pause over the pawns. Every day, they're still down there, arguing over wars and revolutions that ended centuries ago. We could have brought them back. We made a choice, I say, but the words feel hollow. The soldier's plea, tell them we did our duty, echoes in my mind. I think of the others we met in the Hollow, the souls trapped in their grief, their rage, their endless cycles. Sealing the entrances saved the world above, but it condemned them to eternity below. April 5th, 2029, 02:10. I can't sleep. The basement is quiet except for the hum of the seal and Ethan's soft snoring. I open my laptop and scroll through the photos I took in the vault, the maps and journals Ethan uncovered. One image stops me, a sketch of the Well of Sorrow, its edges lined with symbols that pulse faintly on the screen, like they're alive. I close the laptop quickly, my heart racing. Carter was right. The knowledge itself is dangerous, a lure that pulls you toward the edge. That I think about the Historical Society, about Carter's cryptic references to their broader network. She mentioned other organizations, once, groups that monitor supernatural threats beyond the Hollow. I wonder how deep it goes, how many secrets Cresthaven hides beneath its quaint streets. The university, the church, even the Historical Society, they're all connected, threads in a web I can't fully see. April 7th, 2029, 14:20. A new report arrives from Carter, encrypted and marked urgent. A researcher in Seattle, Dr. Paul Nguyen, went missing near one of the sealed entrances. He'd been studying pioneer journals, just like Ethan, and found references to the Hollow. The Seattle Guardian stopped him before he could breach the seal, but he's in custody now, ranting about voices calling him from below. Carter wants our input. Have we noticed any fluctuations in the Cresthaven seal? Ethan checks the relic, his face tense. It's stable, he says, but there's doubt in his voice. I check it myself, speaking the incantation. The compass rose glows, but there's a faint tremor, like a heartbeat skipping. It's not a breach, not yet, but it's a reminder that the Hollow isn't dormant. It's alive, waiting. April 10th, 2029, 09:00. Carter returns with a proposal. The Historical Society wants to expand our role, not just as guardians, but as researchers. They've uncovered new documents in Boston, journals from the 1850s describing a failed attempt to destroy the Hollow entirely, not just seal it. The plan, called the Cleansing Fire, involved a ritual that would collapse the Hollow's structure, erasing it from existence. It failed because the settlers lacked the artifacts we used for the Eternal Lock. The Cleansing Fire is theoretical, Carter says. But with your experience, you could refine it. Make it viable. Ethan's eyes light up, the scholar in him waking. You're saying we could free the trapped souls? Clara, Amos, Lila. Carter nods. Potentially. But it's risky. Collapsing the Hollow could destabilize the physical world. Earthquakes, rifts, worse. I think of the soldier's face, the hope in his eyes when he asked if the war was over. What's the cost? I ask that Carter's expression hardens. Lives. Maybe yours. Maybe everyone's. April 12th, 2029, 22:45. Ethan and I spend days debating the Cleansing Fire. He's obsessed, poring over Carter's documents like he did the maps. I see the hollows pull in him again, that same relentless curiosity that led him to his death. I try to temper it, reminding him of the risks, but he's driven by guilt. We left them down there, Dad. We have to try. I'm torn. The eternal lock keeps the world safe, but it's a half measure, a bandage on a wound that's still bleeding. The cleansing fire could heal it, but at what cost? I look at Ethan, his face lit by the laptop's glow, and see the boy who wanted to save Sarah, who risked everything for truth. I can't lose him again. April 15th, 2029, 03:30. I dream of the hollow. I'm back in the well of sorrow, the black water lapping at my boots. Clara stands before me, her empty eyes pleading. You promised, she says. Behind her, Amos and Lila nod, their voices a chorus of despair. I wake sweating, the seals hum louder than usual. Ethan's awake too, staring at the trapdoor. Did you feel it? He asks that I nod. The tremor is stronger now, a pulse that shakes the relic in my hand. Something's stirring below, something we didn't account for. I call Carter, who arrives within the hour. She brings equipment, sensors, cameras, a device that looks like a Geiger counter but measures something she calls dimensional resonance. The hollow's reacting, she says. The seals are holding, but it's fighting back. Fighting how? Ethan asks, like a living thing. It knows it's trapped, and it's angry. April 20th, 2029, 11:10. The tremors grow stronger over the next week. Carter's team installs monitors in the basement, their screens showing spikes in resonance every few hours. Ethan and I take turns watching the data, our chess games forgotten. The Historical Society sends a specialist, Dr. Rachel Stein, a physicist who's studied dimensional anomalies. She's young, sharp, with a nervous energy that reminds me of Ethan before the hollow. The cleansing fire might be our only option, Stein says, pointing to a graph of resonance spikes. The hollow's trying to break through. If we don't act, the seals could fail. I look at Ethan, who's nodding slowly. We can't just sit here, Dad. We have to end this. I think of the price I've already paid, 14 years of my life, my youth drained in moments. I think of the world above, the students I used to teach, the bar where Ethan and I never got to watch that game. What do we need? I ask. Stein hands us a journal, its pages brittle with age. The artifacts you used for the eternal lock. And one more, a relic called the Ember of Dawn. It's in New Orleans, with Father Kim. April 25th, 2029, 07:40. Carter arranges a meeting with the other Guardians via secure video link. Father Kim, a calm man in his 40s, holds up the Ember of Dawn, a small, glowing orb that pulses like a heartbeat. Dr. Alvarez in Boston looks exhausted, her hair streaked with gray. The Chicago siblings, Emma and Lucas, argue quietly in the background. Each Guardian reports similar tremors, resonant spikes that threaten their seals. The cleansing fire requires all 7 teams, Father Kim says. We activate it simultaneously, using the ember to ignite the artifacts. It'll collapse the hollow, but we'll be caught in the backlash. Meaning? I ask. Meaning we might not survive, Alvarez says. Or we might end up trapped in whatever's left of the hollow. Ethan's hand tightens around his coffee mug. And the souls? Clara, Amos, Lila. Kim's face softens. They'll be free. The hollow's destruction will release them, though where they go, nobody knows. May 1st, 2029, 04:55. We prepare for the cleansing fire. Carter's team delivers the Ember of Dawn, shipped from New Orleans in a reinforced case. It's heavier than it looks, warm to the touch, like holding a living thing. Ethan and I study the 1850s journal, memorizing the ritual's words. They're in a mix of English and the settler's dialect, sharp and guttural, like speaking through clenched teeth. The tremors are constant now, shaking dust from the basement ceiling. Stein's monitors show resonance spikes off the charts. The hollow knows what's coming, and it's fighting harder. I catch Ethan staring at the trapdoor, his eyes distant. You okay? I asked. He shakes his head. I keep hearing Hargrove's voice, telling me I'm a murderer. You're not. The hollow twisted you. You're here now with me. He nods, but I see the doubt. I wonder if I've brought him back only to lose him again. May 3rd, 2029, 23:00. The ritual begins at midnight. Carter and Stein stay with us, their equipment humming. The other guardians are linked by radio, their voices crackling through static. Father Kim leads the chant, his words steady despite the tremors. Ethan and I stand by the trapdoor, the ember of dawn between us, glowing brighter with each syllable. The air shimmers, heat rising from the seal. The words burn my throat, like swallowing fire. The trapdoor cracks, not breaking but shifting, the darkness within swirling like a storm. Ethan's voice falters, and I grab his hand, steadying him. The monitors scream, resonance spiking beyond safe levels. Stein shouts, "Keep going." It's working. The ember flares, blinding. The trapdoor's darkness collapses inward, pulling the air with it. I feel the years drain from me again, not 4 or 10, but something deeper, like my soul's being stretched thin. Ethan's hand is warm in mine, anchoring me. The chant ends, and the basement goes silent. May 4th, 2029, 00:15. The seal is gone. The trapdoor is just a trapdoor now, leading to a shallow cellar. The ember of dawn is cold, its light extinguished. Stein's monitors are flat, no resonance, no signal. Carter checks her radio. The other guardians report the same: empty cellars, dead artifacts. The hollow is gone, but so is something in me. I feel hollowed out, my body heavier than ever. Ethan looks at me, his eyes clear but tired. "We did it, Dad," he says. "They're free." I think of Clara, Amos, Lila, their faces fading into whatever comes next. I hope it's peace. May 10th, 2029, 10:30. We move out of the basement a week later. The Historical Society reassigns us to a research facility on the outskirts of Cresthaven, a nondescript building with labs and archives. Carter offers us positions as consultants, studying the Hollow's aftermath. There are rumors, strange sightings in Boston, tremors in Chicago. The Hollow may be gone, but its echoes linger. Ethan throws himself into the work, analyzing data, writing reports. He's trying to atone, to make sense of what we've done. I'm slower, my body protesting every movement. The mirror shows a stranger, my face etched with decades I didn't live. But when Ethan smiles, when he talks about history or cracks a joke, I see my son, not the Hollow's shadow. June 1st, 2029, 14:00. Carter visits with a final report. The cleansing fire worked, but not perfectly. The entrances are closed, the Hollow collapsed, but fragments remain, pockets of resonance, like scars in the earth. The Society will monitor them, and will help, from a distance. I ask about the other guardians. Alvarez retired to a convent. The Chicago siblings vanished, leaving a note about starting over. Father Kim stayed in New Orleans, praying for the souls we freed. What about us? Ethan asks. You're free, Carter says. But the knowledge stays with you. That's its own burden. She's right. I dream of the Hollow every night, its tunnels and shadows etched into my mind. Ethan does too, though he won't admit it. We carry the maps, the symbols, the weight of what we've seen. July 16th, 2029, 18:20. It's been a year since Ethan's death, a year since I descended into the Hollow. We're in a new apartment now, overlooking Cresthaven's river. The town feels different, lighter, like it's exhaled a breath it held for centuries. Ethan's enrolled in a master's program at the university, studying history again. He wants to teach, to share knowledge that doesn't destroy. I'm writing a book, not about the Hollow. That's too dangerous, but about grief, about fathers and sons, about the things we do for love. My hands shake as I type, the years catching up. But every word feels like a victory, a way to keep Ethan's legacy alive. Sometimes, I walk past St. Luke's, its steeple sharp against the sky. The trapdoor is gone, the basement just a basement. But I feel the Hollow's echo, a whisper in the wind. I think of the soldier, Clara, Amos, Lila, and the countless others we left behind, now free or lost forever. I think of Sarah, who's teaching art in Portland, unaware of the well of sorrow. I think of Ethan, alive, laughing, whole. Was it worth it? Every second,